So the soft drinks industry took a bit of a hit during the recession of 2008 and 2009. In particular, value sales were down. Volume sales were mostly flat for categories that have been doing okay, and you saw a real slowdown in growth. But this was not really uniformly spread across the world. Mostly developed markets such as Western Europe, US, saw a decline, whereas developing markets, you actually had pretty healthy growth still. And these are areas that offer a lot of opportunity moving forward. One of the things people often say about the soft drinks industry is how carbonates is on its way out. But in fact, carbonates still comprises 40% of all soft drinks volume sales in the world. It's true that it's in decline in places like the US and parts of Western Europe, but actually it's still growing pretty strongly in other parts of the world. The population that's drinking carbonates is very, very small compared to other parts of the world, and there's a lot of room for growth there. In addition, you have growing consumer expenditure that's going to come from places like Middle East, Africa, Eastern Europe. In those areas, carbonates is still a pretty novel drink category and still has a lot of potential there. Bottled water actually surpassed carbonates and is now the largest category by volume sales as of 2008. But once again, in 2009, there was a real big slowdown. And in part, that was due to the economy. But also there's a big backlash going on in developed markets in particular about packaging. The idea that bottled water is an excessive kind of purchase that harms the environment. So this has actually led to a pretty big slowdown in that 2009 year for many of the major bottled water brands in the developed markets. But what you see is there's still pretty strong growth and not a lot of penetration around the world for added value waters, things like mineral water, but especially things like functional water. We actually have a kind of growing subcategory of what we call sports waters, which are low-calorie light versions of usually sports drinks, kinds of electrolyte-infused beverages that are meant to be consumed right after exercise or during exercise. And because these are low-calorie, they're marketed towards dieters and in particular towards women, which is something that sports drinks as a category hasn't really successfully done to this point. So there's a new space opening up there. Juices are typically the third largest category in many markets. And once again, like a lot of other drinks categories, there's a base amount of consumption that really hasn't changed too much. But we did see a slowdown, in particular in developed markets. Juices, despite their being generally healthy, took a turn for the worse during the recent recession and have seen protracted sales declines over the last few years. This is a lot of the growth prior to maybe 2007, 2008 had come from 100% juices, things with particularly healthier attributes. What we saw in 2009 was the less healthier juice categories, such as juice drinks, which have 25% or less juice content, a lot more sugar, and even fruit-flavored drinks with very minimal juice content. Those are the ones that did well. Juice drinks was one of the only categories that actually grew in value around the world. And this has come from being particularly strong in parts of Latin America, like Mexico, parts of Eastern Europe, and so on, where this is developed as a category where children consume it very often, where there isn't as much of an emphasis on the higher priced, more healthier beverages. So functional drinks is comprised of sports drinks and energy drinks. Sports drinks struggled in 2009, mostly due to the Gatorade brand having a bad year, showing declines for the first time after several years of double-digit increases. People really moved away from that category because they found the same kind of functionality in waters, in particular things like vitamin water or what we call functional waters with added vitamins. And there aren't really a lot of other competitors. In many markets, Gatorade is the only major brand. Energy drinks really struck a chord with a younger generation, have really replaced coffee as a source of morning energy or energy in the early afternoon and throughout the day. And as a result, had double-digit increases in most markets, or haven't even really penetrated in a lot of markets. But that also took a turn for the worse in 2009, where we didn't see declines, but we saw a slowdown. It's a single-digit growth for many markets as people kind of turned away from the higher-priced, more premium ends of the beverages market. One category that's done well and continues to do well is ready-to-drink tea, which is a bottled or cold form of tea brands. Part of the reason it's done well is that it combines a lot of the attributes that people look for in beverages. It has natural health that people associate with tea, with the antioxidants and polyphenols that are found in hot drinks or in hot tea. And people kind of understand that crossing over into a cold product, a bottled product. In addition, a lot of teas are combined with fruit flavors and antioxidant properties of things like pomegranate and acai and things like that. And on top of that, well-known and trusted brand names, things like Lipton and Nestea, which people already know from other products, have crossed over into tea as well. What we're starting to see is even more segmentation in many parts of the world. A lot of the top tea, ready-to-drink tea market in the world is China, but even there you have a lot of regional brands, and we're starting to see more national brands come on the scene, including Coke. Just a few months ago launched a Sprite product, Sprite tea, that combines the lemon lime Sprite carbonate flavor with a green tea flavoring. Moving forward, we expect that to still be even though it's a relatively small category, to still be a high growth area, and an area where a lot of multinational producers are going to try to move into if they aren't there already.